I'm Bill McMinn, along with Mark Hostetler from Mingleville Bible Church. Way to go, podcast, right here. So, we're laughing about stuff because, I don't know, it's one of those days. So we can't even get the voices together. Like, we're struggling today. We're doing this podcast, right? So we're struggling today because Lindsay's watching and our voices don't match up with our mouth.
Yeah.
Like, the sound's not on. It's not synced. So we're talking about Japanese movies where,
we might direct Lindsay, who's producing the show. We might direct her to make the whole episode like that, offset by 2 seconds.
Yeah,
so it just
by 2
frustrates
seconds.
You as the watcher.
Exactly. But then we have to do a karate move. You know what I'm saying? Let me get my feet on. Yeah, exactly. We'll have to do karate moves. Yeah, hopefully when you see it, our lips will be synced to the sound. If not, close your eyes.
Yes.
That's the best
Go
thing
to
to
the
do.
podcast, Podbean. You'll see it there. You'll listen to it there. It'll be fine.
I don't expect you to listen to it if Lindsay can't figure out how to sing.
You can go to the podcast.
Right.
Exactly. Listen to it.
Just listen to it. Or you can listen to it on YouTube too. I mean, there's plenty of songs I'll turn on. They have videos. I'm not watching the video. Anyway, Adam and Eve, talking about Adam. And Adam is created, and you have in Genesis 1, which this is a foundational book in the Bible, and it's a good book to know. This is where you have Genesis, you have the flood account, you have Babel, you have Abraham, the father of the Jewish people, father of faith. You have all the patriarchs down to Joseph, them heading down to Egypt, and what happened there. The Exodus becoming a huge part of the Bible, even Passover, even when Christ died, coming out of that. I mean, you think about how, and then the second book of the Bible, you have the Ten Commandments. How much history is here is incredible. And it said that God, he decides, he goes, let us make man in our image after our likeness and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the heaven, over the livestock, over all the earth, over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. And so mankind is made by God specifically to be placed into this world. We're made in the image of God. That gives life an extreme sanctity and extreme value. Sometimes I don't believe that our nation is starting to lose sight of the fact of how valuable life is.
Oh, yeah.
And if a country starts to lose sight, or any people group begins to lose sight of the value of human life, and you start to take it as nothing, you just kill somebody, and that could be true. You consider abortion, you consider how much violence is in our world today, all kinds of things. It's like, no, we should value life.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, so if he's made us in his image, that means that he's created us with some of the same things that he has. So we have an intellect, we have a mind that's able to think and know God. We have a heart that's able to love and follow him and choose him and love him. And then we have a will. The third thing is the will.
Right.
You're gonna follow him. You're gonna choose to reject your own way by your will, following God.
Right. Intellect, emotion, and will is three things that make you human. You have emotion. Now, a lot of times people say, my dog loves me. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time talking to him, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've never really told me that. So my cat's never really said, I love you. My cat wants to come in. Every time my cat gets a chance to come in, it's always at the door. It's in there for 5 seconds, looks around. My cat, by the way, has to drink water out of the bathtub for every reason. And it's so spoiled, will actually go, it runs right down the hallway into our bedroom, over to the bathroom, jumps in the bathtub, and waits for you to put water in there. Why do you want water out of the bathtub? Why is a bowl not good enough for you? Why is it bad? I have no idea. It's the weirdest thing in the world. It's an outdoor cat too, primarily. But that cat wants to come in, and then it'll lick some water out of the bathtub, wants to go back outside.
Yeah.
There you have it.
And that's the simple life of your cat.
That's simple life of my cat, and I can't understand it. I can never ask my cat about it because my cat doesn't have that ability. So where man has a special ability where we're made in the image of God in a way that animal creation is not. You have a spirit. God breathed into man the breath of life. It gives us value. In fact, in Genesis 9:6, the reason we're not supposed to murder people is we're made in the image of God. The whole reasoning for valuing life comes back to the image of God.
Yeah, because he's given us a will. So that's why I wanted to kind of point that out, is because you're talking about like valuing human life and everything we do now in our will, the choices we make has to come from this place where we're honoring God and honoring people around us. You know what I'm saying? We want to do good for God, to God, according to the good that he's shown us in our life. And we want to help people around us and value the lives of others around us.
Well, I would say this, if you look at, and just letting this kind of spell itself out, we're supposed to, for one thing, he gave every seed bearing thing like vegetables to people to eat. Like, I think it's interesting. They didn't start eating meat till after the flood. So they were eating, so I'm not going to pick, a lot of times we meatitarians pick on vegetarians, to be honest with you, like sometimes probably too much. Like we kind of make fun of them and, oh, you're tofu and stuff like that, but really, if you look early in the Bible, that's what they ate. You look at Daniel.
There was no death.
Right.
When Adam and Eve sinned, death entered the picture. Before that, there was no death.
Right. But there's a lot of territory between that and Genesis 9.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of years to live and a lot of generations. They were still eating plants. So I'm not going to pick on people for that. And that's not what I want to talk about actually either. But you look at mankind. So God puts him in and he makes man out of it says, formed man in Genesis 2:7 of the dust of the ground, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. He became a living being. So, we don't believe that God selected two primates in an evolutionary scheme. No. We believe, no, God directly and immediately took dust, made man from dust. We're going to go back to dust someday. Yep. That's a fact. You put us in a casket up, we're going to go right back to it. So you have that, you have the Spirit placed into us, within mankind, and that's a special thing. And God puts him in the garden. Now, God created a garden. I think it's interesting that that's something that God wanted to do. And so he planted a garden in verse 8. God planted a garden. Mm-hmm. Man didn't plant the first garden on the planet. God planted the first, and he put in the tree of life, put in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. There are many trees for man to eat of. God tells them, don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right?
They had everything they needed in that garden. Right. Everything they needed.
Right.
And it wasn't enough for them. They had to go to the thing that God told them not to do.
Which is super ridiculous. Crazy. But you look at God and he takes man, he puts him in the Garden of Eden to work in and keep it. And work is not a 4-letter word. I mean, work is not a bad thing. We're designed to work. Why is man here? What is my purpose? Why did God put me on the earth? Take care of the garden.
That's right.
On the bottom line. I mean, you think about the importance of, like, for us who live out more in the country, having a garden. Like now I have box gardens. I want to start planting blueberries and things like that. But I've thought about it so many times. When I'm in the garden, I'm doing something very primary, very much from the start of creation. I'm planting something. Yeah. I'm growing something, planting flowers. I've always felt that God is pleased there.
That's cool.
Right? Yeah. And he's pleased as we work the land, as we take care of it. You can go into forestry. You can look at mowing your lawn, taking care of your property. I've always believed in take care of the things that God has given you. Yeah. That's your garden. How are you maintaining it? How are you developing it? That's part of
having dominion over the land, right? I mean, that's part of having it. You're called to care for the land that you have.
What have you done to improve your house since you bought it, let's say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was?
I mean, we painted it. We put a metal roof on it. We've done oodles of work on the inside, remodeling. We're in a process of, we still have to finish it, but we remodeled my master bedroom bathroom. I don't know what you call that, but the bathroom off of the master bedroom. So we remodeled that. The outside, I mean, just making sure like drainage ditches are running freely. I took care of some coon issues because they were in my culvert system. Right. And one person asked, well, what are them coons hurting you? It's like, they're not hurting me, but they're going to hurt my property. You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't want to hear about it. We're so overrun right now. There's nobody in this state that, I mean, any governing official that has any type of responsibility is ever going to tell you, like, you are overrun with an animal known for rabies. Like, I won't bark about it, but I think they're cute as heck for sure. But I don't even want to talk about that
so
either.
I've done
just maintaining our property.
Exactly. I've done a lot to our house. We have done a lot to our house. My wife is a champion. I mean, she's painted rooms. She's tearing off wallpaper. That's a horrible project. She's doing it. It takes her time, and we're not rushed. Right. But we're going to maintain.
Wallpaper should have never happened. It should have been illegal from the get-go. Yeah, wallpaper, I'm sorry if you have wallpaper, but it should have never been allowed, ever. What were you thinking?
But we have plans. I like that you're asking that because we have plans. Like, we're going to intentionally keep up with our property. You know, this room's going to be done this way. The foundation at some point, I'm going to have to redo some of the blocks downstairs. You know, we're thinking through how do we keep what God's given us beautiful,
right,
you know, and maintained, you know what I'm saying? So
I planted on our property right now, I have planted 14 perennial gardens over time. We built a deck off the back. We had no flat land, like we're on a ridge. And so all land slopes away. We don't even have a sump pump in our basement. There's no drainage. There's no footer drains. There's nothing because we live on a strain of gravel and sand, and we'll never have a problem with septic. We'll never have a problem because of what's underneath the soil on our property. But because everything rolled away, we had to make decks to have flat spots to put a table. Then we built a patio. Now I'm looking way at the back and saying, where can I plant herb gardens? Where can I plant? Where am I going to put my blueberries? Where am I going to put raspberries? Where am I going to put asparagus? Where maybe strawberries even? Like, where am I going to put this stuff? And I'm starting to think through all these things. Like, how can I till this up? How can I make this better? But our whole thing, like, we put money into the barn. New roofs on the house. There's just so many things we've done, building fences and whatnot to try to maintain. And I really think it's very much basic to mankind being here. And I've always felt that when you want to improve your property, you want it to look nice. Yeah. To me, there's a sense of godliness here.
Absolutely.
You look around, we drive around, and we see a lot of properties. They're not maintained. This is not why God put you here. God did not put you here so you can let your property and your house be neglected and go to junk. This is not a good thing.
Right.
It's not a good thing if you're in town and you refuse to paint your house. It's not a good thing if you're in the country, refuse to paint your house. If you're not taking care of stuff. Guys, we're here to take care of things.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And whatever God has given to us. So as Christians, you know, our places should look nice just as far as, God placed me in my garden. God, it's all God's anyway. God put me on the piece. And it's a weird thing. Like, you think about ownership. Yes, I own the property I live on till I die. I don't hold anything. I have it till I die. I pay rent on it because I pay taxes, $100 a month. You know what I'm saying? It's for the rest of my life. And basically I'm going to pay somebody the right to be on my own property. And if I don't, they'll take it away from me. Think about that. Right. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, but I understand why they do it. You know what I'm saying? Because they have that bridges and roads and ambulances and schools and all that. Yeah, I get it. But we have a lot of property too, so we're gonna have more taxes than the normal human being is gonna pay. But that's okay. We like it, and we got to figure it out. But we look at these things. God put me here for a reason. God put me here to till the garden, to take care of things, and make the world a better place. I think they should be thinking.
I also think it goes more than just beyond like your own personal house and garden and all that. I appreciate you bringing that up, no doubt. But even yesterday in my prayer, yesterday morning, in my prayer time with the Lord, I was excited. I got excited. I said, Lord, I appreciate the opportunity I have to be a co-laborer with Christ right now. In everything that I do, I'm a co-laborer with you. I'm coming alongside you. I want to work where you're working. I want to be there. I want to be a voice for people. I want to serve. That's exciting to me, right. Just beyond the property that you're a part of. You got to understand everything you do right now has to come from a heart of service, just knowing that God's at work in people's lives. How can I come alongside that?
Well, I think you have to be where I'm just talking about my own testimony is where I've sensed God. Where I've sensed that closeness with God is at times being out on my property, doing things like that.
Oh, definitely.
What you're talking about is another area of your life where you feel a closeness to God, because now you feel in the broader, the fields are white on the harvest.
Yes.
God sent workers. You feel a closeness with God there. I would agree with you that we should be wanting to make at whatever part of the bigger world God has placed us in, whether you're a football coach, whether you're a teacher, you're a pastor, whether you're working for your company, you should be laboring to make that a better place too. And that is not the mentality that we see today.
Agreed.
The mentality that we see today is give me more. I want to do less. I want to do even more or less, and I want you to give me even more and more.
What's in it for me? What's in it for me?
What's in it for me? And there's no thought of, hey, I have joined an organization as an employee. I don't care if it's McDonald's. I don't care if you're in construction, whatever it is. I've joined an organization. I want that organization to be better because I'm here. I like to make a difference. If I touch any part of ministry, of course, the whole church, because I'm a pastor and I've been here a long time. Okay, so the whole thing, you get to have your hand in somewhat. But in specific areas that I work in, you would like to think you've made your mark.
Yep.
And that if you got assigned a certain task, that your personality is going to be on part of that.
Yep.
Because that's just who you are.
That's right.
Right? Because you want to make it a better place. If we had in America the mentality that work is not a bad thing, if we had in America the mentality that I'm here to make it better, because I was always taught this from a young age on, it should look better when you leave than when you got there. Anything you walk into, it should look better when you leave than when you got there.
Absolutely.
This whole lazy mentality of it's somebody else's job, it's not for me, nonsense.
No way. No, and again, here we go back to we are created in the image of God. Guess what God's doing right now? He's working. He's working in our lives. Look at every area of your life and see that God hasn't been a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Like God has come in, he's made it better. He's transformed a lot of my life, most of my life. And it's all because he was at work in my life. So I want to turn around. I want to be at work too. Right. I want to keep working at my life, keep working in my family, keep working at my relationship with my wife, my children, my environment here in this church, wherever I'm working. I want to make it more beautiful. I want to make it. My problem is I problem solve too much probably. If I see an issue, I'll interject in this and that. And I'm trying to work on that in my character, but I love working. I love serving. I just love being a part of things, Right. So
yeah, I mean, I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes we can overreach into areas that we don't really belong in because that's somebody else's area, and they don't really appreciate our help as much as we think we do.
I can't understand why.
Right.
I mean,
but it's just how that's just how it is. But I do believe that this is the other thing I was told: the place should look better when you leave than when you got there, and that you should be able to put your name on your work. And what that meant to me, and I believe what it meant to the people who taught me that, was you should take some pride in what you do. Mm-hmm. And so when I worked in a clothing store and I was a teenager, man, I wanted, when I fold this stuff, don't tell my wife I used to do this, but everything was so neat. I mean, like I wanted every pair of Levi's jeans, every stack of shirts, everything that we had to look neat. I would go through that store all the time and straighten it up. Because you took pride in what you did. This store is going to look great. I am going to work hard. I'm going to be a great employee. And there were two of us, and one kid got fired for stealing, actually. And so I told them, I said, I don't want you to hire anyone else. I want to be the only guy here. There was a father and a son. I want to be your only employee. I will work for you every day. And I did. Every day after school, I went to work, and I'd be there till close. Wow. And by the time I was a senior, they would let me close the store. Like at night, on nights, so you guys like, I'm taking off. You got the store. I would just take care of it. It was such a great responsibility, as a teenager to be able to run the store and take care of it. But you earned your trust by, you worked hard. And then when I went to Transco after college, and I went there, man, I would just work to beautify stuff. When they didn't have stuff, I'll paint. I got a painting project. I would paint all the windows. They never even asked me to. It's like I would redap, paint. I was only a temporary employee. And I'm there having shift workers coming off the midnight shift, swinging to the day shift. We'd see them like once a week, every 3 weeks. We'd see this, whoever's on midnight before, they'd come in and like, dude, that building at night when we turn the lights on, it looks so good because I'd painted all the windows, all the window frames, redapped. It hadn't been painted probably in years. I started doing like lube oil pumps and water jacket pumps and all these pumps because it's called the auxiliary building. And they were all tri-colors too. Like the base would be one and then it'd be another color. Then it'd be another color. Then this pipe going off, the big pipes leading off would be another color.
That's cool.
And I would just sit there for hours and paint it. I would go upstairs in this one room where we'd all congregate at first, redoing all the parts, organizing things, painting. I remember being up on the roof, painting one of the building roofs. And I would just, every time, like they would never even have to tell me what to do. That's cool. I was a temporary worker. Yep. The foreman would come around to me and he'd look at me and I'd say, I got stuff to do. And they would turn me loose until an engine went down and then they would join me to the maintenance team truly. And then I would just be helping them clean cylinders and piston rings. And I mean, these engines guys were so big, it took an overhead crane to remove one piston. Just one took an overhead crane to do it. And now all the buildings were equipped with overhead cranes. So that's how massive it is. To take the lid off one of those cylinders, holy smokes, man, you're talking about huge impact wrenches,
right.
bolts that are an inch, a couple inches across. It was amazing to see it. It was a great experience for me as a young man. I mean, to see how big and the mechanics of it. And I learned a lot being there. But on those off days, I'd be like, yeah, I got stuff to do, man. I would just go paint. I'd find stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I would never mow because I thought mowing was too easy for me. I'd let all the other temporary workers mow. I'm like, sitting on a lawnmower is too easy. I don't want it.
Give me the dirt.
I want the hard jobs.
Yep.
Guess what? That's why I was the only temporary that lasted the winter. I was the only temporary worker. They said, dude, you're the only temporary worker that this company has kept in years. The only one that did not get laid off in the winter. And one old dude came to me, he's old timer, he said, because you're the only guy who works.
Yep.
But I had took pride in it. You know, like I took pride. It wasn't even my company. I just took pride to come and wanted to make that place a better place. To me, these are fundamental issues. You go back to the Garden of Eden. He puts him there to take care of the garden.
Absolutely.
That's why he was there. God delegated responsibility to him. And if you're working somewhere, guess what? If God gave you that job, he's delegating responsibility to you to make that a better place.
Work as unto the Lord, right? That's what the scripture tells us. Work as unto the Lord. You know, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, do it with a heart that Jesus is standing right there with you, you know, and be eager to, like you said, you know, put your mind to it and go to work, you know.
But we need to remind ourselves about, dude, you know, if I preach, I've always had the mentality, I never want to be up there Sunday and feel like I can mail this one in. Like I can go easy, it doesn't matter. Like I've never felt that way. I've always felt, no, it does matter.
Yeah.
And then the challenge is to manage your time. The challenge is to do, you know, be as efficient as you can and get things done. And with all voices coming into you, you know, like yesterday, I got asked to call somebody I haven't seen in a long time, and because they were just in a crisis, and you know, I did. They appreciate it, you know what I'm saying? But that's just something you have to make time and say, no, this is important to do. Or at a funeral, and do I have time to go? Not really, but I mean, I'm going to, because I'm going to be there. I'm going to talk to the people. There's some people in our church that haven't been here because of health reasons for a long time. We're there. There's a chance just to talk to them. How are you? What's going on?
And we have, that's part of the nature of our job, I think, is to be flexible like that, because there's a devotional page that I write. I've been so inconsistent with it because that's not my priority. You know, I have to make sure and keep my priority, my primary ministry is going, you know. So I have to make sure and invest my time properly, you know. And when I can get frustrated is when I overly compensate this way and don't work smart, you know what I mean? I need to be...
Well, you have to worry about stuff like projectors, which is kind of boring because it's, hey, this bulb's better bulb, so now it looks better. Now the other projector doesn't look as good, and then next thing you know, 5-6 hours went into projector bulbs.
Exactly.
And it's just,
6 hours later, or a coffee maker this morning that wouldn't work right, and 45 minutes later, no, I had to throw it out after all that work, 45 minutes of work.
That's what I would do.
Throw the thing out.
I would get to it, throw the thing away. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but I tried to fix it. I tried to problem solve. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have been there. I should have just prioritized my time. But thankfully, God's good, and He's given me a place to work where I love. You know, I can come in here. We can come together. We can make a mission happen that we know is from above. Podcast. Exactly. And I'm doing this, and right after this, I'm going to go serve somebody else. And you know what? Praise God. So kung fu to work hard. I mean, that's where we've been in this podcast. Exactly. That's where we've been in this podcast. So no, we appreciate you tuning in and listening. Hopefully you've been inspired. I've been inspiring myself here, believe it or not, you know, so just remember, you got to keep after stuff. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing yourself. You got to keep striving to be better. I've been challenged in a leadership book I've been going through, and definitely, continue to educate yourself. Sometimes I get so busy that I don't do that, but I took on the responsibility to lead a Bible study on leadership this summer. I'm meeting with 5 other guys right now, and it's been great, man. I mean, they just such a great reminder. Hey, you need to be reading. You need to be reminding yourself and educating yourself and be inspired. Reading John Cooper from lead singer of Skillet, his book, Alive and Awake to the Truth, is just inspiring, you know, and I just reminded myself today of like, yeah, man, you need to be reading, you know, these other authors and different people interacting with their ideas and their thoughts. So I think that's an important thing too. So we can inspire ourselves and to be better. And a lot of times we got room to be better. I don't care who you are. You still got room to be better, right? I think a lot of times we get into paralysis because there's too much to do. Right. Like there's too much of the house to clean, for example. Like, and then you just kind of like don't do anything. Right. I think you just do it like you know, take one bite of an elephant at a time. That's how you eat elephant. You do it one thing at a time and fix that area. Have dominion over that one area. One step at a time is a great point. And it'll all come together for you. I ran 3 miles last night. It was not my prettiest run.
But as I said in my Instagram story, for all 2 of you that follow me there, it was 3 miles of steps in the right direction is what it was.
That's right.
And, whether it was my fastest run or not, it was hot and sweaty and it was hard. And then today I started more of an exercise routine, and there's certain things I'm watching the person exercise on TV do this. I'm like, I can't do that. But I'm starting to do that. And it's like, Bill, you got to start somewhere. Everything you do is a step in the right direction.
Right.
If you're exercise or reading or whatever it is, like you said, don't worry if you can't do it all right now. You're still taking a step in the right direction.
Yep.
Any positive step's a positive step. So, and a positive step, you listening to this podcast, we appreciate that. You guys all have a great and fantastic week. Thanks for tuning in. We truly appreciate it.